Africa divided over Israel-Gaza conflict. Israel-Gaza war. Why is Africa divided on supporting Palestine? Israel has gained significant traction on a continent that has historically supported Palestine. However, Israel's gains are also limited. Last Saturday, when news of Hamas fighters invading southern Israel erupted globally, Kenyan President William Ruto took to X, the social media network that was formerly known as Twitter. In his message, he stated that Kenya unambiguously condemns terrorism and attacks on innocent civilians in the country and joins the rest of the world in solidarity with the State of Israel. There is absolutely no justification for terrorism, which poses a grave risk to global peace and security. The international community must unite in order to swiftly bring these abhorrent criminal acts of terrorism to justice and hold their organizers, financiers, sponsors, supporters, and enablers accountable. It was a clear support of Israel's stance and, some would argue, of the response that the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has since inflicted upon the Gaza Strip, waging a bombing campaign that has claimed the lives of over 1,900 Palestinians. Furthermore, it was a social media post that highlighted Israel's expanding sway over Africa. African governments are delving into contentious discussions about the war as the death toll rises, dividing the continent, and various countries adopt opposite positions. In a statement released on Sunday, South African authorities attributed the increase on Israel's unlawful occupation and desecration of holy Christian sites, including the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Top official Zane Danger told the local news channel Ensad that the fighting would continue until the occupation ends, and that Hamas's brutal onslaught was predictable despite not being a solution. Early in the conflict, Algeria proclaimed its full solidarity with Palestine. The African Union Commission, led by Moussa Mahamat Faki, has called for a two-state solution and blamed the denial of the fundamental rights of the Palestinians, despite expressing concern about the violence. But other African countries that have sided with Israel's position are Kenya, Zambia, Ghana, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Therefore, why is a continent that has historically backed Palestine and endured centuries of the worst effects of racism and colonialism now divided? For the quick answer, according to experts, Africa's divisions show how each country strives to separate its interests, and they also indicate how certain nations are forging closer connections with Israel. There are strong connections to the Palestinian struggle on the one hand, while Israel offers cutting-edge technology, military support, and aid on the other. Whichever prevails may decide how Africa is oriented now and in the future if this conflict continues. A historical and sentimental bond. Having suffered through cruel colonial oppression for decades, African nations sympathized with the Palestinians who had been evicted from their homes and land in 1948 and were frosty toward the newly founded State of Israel. After the 1973 October War, Israel was cut off from both the Continental Bloc and the Organization of African Unity, OAU. Even if Morocco, Algeria's adversary, pledged to normalize relations with Israel in 2020, Algeria has been a strong opponent of Israel on the continent. The 1988 Palestinian Declaration of Independence in Algiers and Algeria's past under French colonialism are the sources of part of Algeria's feelings, according to Zine Labadine Ghebali, a researcher at the European Council on Foreign Relations, ECFR. According to Ghebali, the relationship between Algeria and Palestine is very historic and emotional, and it is further strengthened by the fact that Islam unites the two countries. France occupied us, and this history of cruelty is comparable. I'm currently seeing a lot of posts on social media about solidarity with Palestine. Nelson Mandela famously drew comparisons between the struggle of black South Africans against white authority and that of Palestinians against Israeli occupation, but post-apartheid South Africa has been possibly the most ardent backer of Palestine on the continent. Since then, such parallel has also been made by numerous human rights organizations. Naledi Pandor, the foreign minister of South Africa, demanded in July 2022 that Israel be labeled a apartheid state by the UN. Pandor pushed back, questioning why Western capitals weren't willing to apply the same principles of international law when it came to Israel's occupation of Palestinian lands, amid growing Western pressure to denounce Moscow's actions amid Russia's war on Ukraine and other countries in Africa and Asia. However, the loud diplomatic backing for Palestine hides a more nuanced relationship between Israel and African countries, one that has evolved significantly in recent years and is changing the continent's strategy in the Middle East. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.